What's up, boxing world? I have to respond to a few things that I saw on Facebook, and I'm not a biased fan. I'm Boricua, and I follow a lot of different boxers. I don't have a bias towards anybody, but I just feel like when you have certain content creators out there that don't look at all the details and all the facts about Subriel Matias, they started following him after probably the Jeremiah Sponsor fight, which was in February 25th, and that's when they started doing their research. But there is a particular content creator. I don't have nothing against him, but I just think that sometimes he just doesn't do all his research. Just like everybody doesn't always do all their research. They should. If you're a boxing content creator, you should do your research. I do my research. I'm a hardcore boxing fan. I've been watching boxing for a real long time, since the Camacho days. So I'm old school. And there's a certain content creator. His name is Punch Drunk. This is what he says: that Teofimo Lopez sent a contract to Subriel Matias. He's not a boss. Teofimo Lopez has a boss. Is Bob Arum, Top Rank. Top Rank is the one that sends contracts, not Teofimo Lopez. So he needs to stop capping and say the truth. If he says he keeps it real, he probably got that information from his little boy, Teofimo Lopez, because they're buddy, and he interviewed him a few times. And I think he's being biased because he's really close to Teofimo Lopez, and he's a fan, but he goes really hard for Teofimo Lopez, and I understand he's a boxing fan, but as a content creator, you should be not biased. You should be more about the facts of the sport and the fighters, because this guy Punch Drunk, he just says anything that benefits Teofimo Lopez. He'll say anything, spin the narrative, and say that Teofimo Lopez is the king of the 140. First of all, Teofimo Lopez did not sign a contract to Matias because he has a boss that he works for. He's not in control. The person that actually sent the contract, the one that's responsible for sending contracts, is Bob Arum, Top Rank. And from what I saw in research, Subriel Matias did not. He spoke to Bob Arum, Top Rank, and there is a video. And if you don't believe me, you can search it and you'll find it. Subriel Matias asked Top Rank if they would guarantee him Teofimo Lopez, and they said no. That if he signed with Teofimo Lopez, if he signed with Top Rank, they would not guarantee him a Teofimo Lopez fight. So that's the reason why Subriel Matias did not sign with Top Rank. He signed with Matchroom because they were going to guarantee him a big fight. I don't know if it's going to be against Teofimo Lopez, but it seems more like on the realm of Devin Haney. He's not going to get. He might get a fight with Teofimo Lopez, but because he has a 5-fight deal that he signed with Matchroom, Eddie Hearn. But they're different promoters. Teofimo Lopez is with Top Rank, Bob Arum. So he's not with Matchroom, but they could probably negotiate a fight. But Top Rank did not guarantee a fight versus Subriel Matias. That's why Subriel Matias did not sign with Top Rank. Teofimo Lopez is not a boss, Punch Drunk. He's not a boss. He doesn't determine or sends a contract. He's not a boss. So that's a lie. That's all lies. Because the real reason why Subriel Matias did not fight Teofimo Lopez is because Teofimo Lopez is not in control of his career the way people believe or perceive people perceive. Because Teofimo Lopez, he acts like a boss, but at the same time, he's really not a boss because he has to answer the Top Rank. He has to answer the Top Rank. He's not independent like Devin Haney. So he's lying. He's capping. Teofimo Lopez is saying all these things about Subriel Matias, but he's the one that's not willing to fight Subriel Matias because his promoter controls him. Bob Arum controls Teofimo Lopez. So, Punch Drunk, you say things that I like. You're funny sometimes, but you don't have all your facts straight. So you got to get your facts straight. You got to get all your facts. If you say you keep it real, right? Then you got to get your facts straight. You got to understand and stop, or either stop lying and telling people that Teofimo Lopez signed a contract to Subriel Matias, he's not the one in control. He's not the boss. The one that sends the contract is top ranked Bob Arum. And then from what I understand and what I saw, the videos out there, Subriel Matias spoke to top ranked Bob Arum, and they did not guarantee him a fight with Teofimo Lopez. That's why he moved on and he fought, and he says he's gonna fight for Matchroom, Eddie Hearns. And would you fight if you was a boxer, if you was a top boxer and you hurt your hand? Would you actually fight another elite fighter or a fighter that you need to be on top of your game to fight, like Teofimo Lopez? Like, would you fight him with your hand injured? Come on, you got to be, it's just common sense. No one in their right state of mind is going to sell themselves short and fight with less than 2 months to prepare for a fight if they hurt their hand. Nobody. That's foolishness. You think that Subriel Matias is desperate and he's just going to jump on fighting Teofimo Lopez with not enough time to train, and he has a hurt hand? He's not going to be 100%. No, that's really crazy to think that. You got to be at your best when you're going to fight, and he's not going to be desperate and just take the fight with Teofimo Lopez like he's a nobody. Subriel Matias is he's not a nobody. Like, he's not desperate. He still has a great following and a career. They need to market him better. But this is what Punch Drunk says.
Mr. I not ready, Mr. I not ready. Subriel Matias gonna be fighting in Puerto Rico versus Peru, finalizing the deal and stuff like that. But, pero, my friend, y el contrato, where's the contract he was supposed to send to Lopez? Dígame, mi gente, talk to me, my friends. Didn't Subriel Matias in the podcast said that he was going to send a contract to Teofimo Lopez, like Teofimo Lopez sent it to him, pero él me lo mandó porque él sabía que yo tenía la mano was no good.
See, you're doing that because you are a fanboy of Teofimo Lopez. I get it, but you gotta be you gotta be subjective. You can't just because you love Teofimo Lopez, that doesn't mean that you bash Subriel Matias and talk about him like he's he's not that good just because of the fighters that he fought. First of all, you talk about that he's never fought a champion before or a former champion, right? That's not his fault that Josh Taylor vacated his belt because he refused to fight against Ponce. He was supposed to fight against Ponce, but he refused to do it. It was supposed to be a title eliminator that Ponce was ranked. And since Josh Taylor refused to fight Ponce, he vacated the belt. That's not Subriel Matias' fault. He vacated the belt because he was going to fight Catterall. But, you can't blame Subriel Matias for that. And out of all the fights that Subriel Matias had, you said, who did Subriel Matias fight? Okay, Subriel Matias, he fought 5 undefeated fighters, ranked contenders, 2 title eliminators. Yukambayev, they were all undefeated, 20-0 with 16 KOs. Malik Hawkins, 18-0 with 12 KOs. Dadashev, 13-0 with 11 KOs. And Dadashev, in his record, he has a former champion that he's beat. The champion was DeMarco. It was Humberto Soto's cousin. It was Antonio DeMarco. Antonio DeMarco was the champion in the lightweight WBC from 2011 to 2012. So he was a champion. So Subriel Matias may have not fought a former champion, but he beat a ranked fighter, the one that he, killed unintentionally in the ring, Maxim Dadashev, who was 13-0 with 11 KOs. He beat a former champion, Antonio DeMarco. He was a champion from 2011 to 2012, and then he was also a champion in 2014. So do that research. So he beat a fighter in his record. He actually, unfortunately, he passed away. Max, after 11 rounds, they stopped the fight, and then he suffered brain damage. And that fight, that Subriel Matias, it really affected him. That's why in the following fight, when he fought Ananian, he lost, but he really didn't lose because the referee counted that round when he got staggered um, as a knockdown when he didn't even touch the the canvas. Subriel Matias. So he avenged that loss and knocked him out. But the reason why he lost that fight, Subriel Matias against Ananian, because he had so much on his mind. It devastated him what happened to Maximum Dadashev that it affected him. And then when he fought Ananian, he wasn't training right. He was smoking weed. He actually went to the fight high. There is a video where he says that. But right now he's 100%. That's the Subriel Matias of that fight no longer exists. The Subriel Matias that we have now is super dedicated, and now he's the champion, so he's more focused. So that was a fluke. So he really, even in spite of the referee counting that round where Subriel Matias was staggered a little bit, he was not like he wasn't like seriously hurt. He was probably stunned, but he never hit the canvas. Even though the referee counted that round as a knockdown for Ananian, he still won the fight. I think it was a fight where it was a split decision, but I think that even that's what determined the result of the fight. But I think he still won the fight, Subriel Matias. But unfortunately, they gave Ananian the fight. But then after that, he fought Malik Hawkins, and he knocked him out. And he was part of Boots Ennis' team. They had the same trainers, Boots Ennis. Like, see, he had a lot of promise. He had a lot of boxing skills and ability. And he was, Malik Hawkins before the fight in the press conference was saying that he was going to school Subriel Matias, that Subriel Matias cannot box. And Subriel Matias knocked him out in the 7th round. So a lot of people were saying, oh, Subriel Matias is limited. He can't beat this guy. And with Subriel Matias, he has a high guard, and a lot of times he just waits to see what you're gonna do and see how much power you have. He keeps a high guard up, and he's blocking you. So I'm not saying he's Mayweather, but I'm saying he does have decent defense according to his style. But a lot of people overlook that because they focus on all the combinations that he throws. He waits for the right moment to throw combinations. So a lot of people, like content creators, they say things like that. That Subriel Matias, who has he beaten? Out of the 5 undefeated fighters that he's fought, and Ergashev was one of them. Jeremiah Spawn said, Bukambayev, he had what was the other guy? Dadashev. He had a decent record. They had decent records, but they all were undefeated. If those fighters that Subriel Matias beat that were undefeated and ranked would fight one of the Teofimo Lopez, Rolly Romero, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, those guys would have gave problems to any of those fighters. At least 3 of those guys or 4 of those guys would have gave problems to those so-called elite. But since they have a big promoter, a big machine behind them, they don't have to fight those fighters that Subriel Matias had to fight. Those fighters that work hard to get to the number 1 level, they were all ranked. Subriel Matias had to fight him because he didn't have the promotion or the backing of the big machine like these so-called elite had. So these so-called elite, there's a lot of politics. They don't have to fight these guys that work their way up to get to the top. A lot of these fighters that work their way to get up, and the undefeated fighters that fought Subriel Matias, a lot of them will give problems to the so-called elite and will probably beat them, but they don't get the chance because the so-called elite, they control who their fighters fight and who their fighters don't fight because they want the big money fights, and that's how they maintain their fighters and they don't lose their fighters, the big promoters. So that there's a lot of politics with that. So yeah, Subriel Matias didn't have the backing of a big promotion. He had Fresh Productions, and he was not directly signed to PBC. So a lot of his fights were not mainstream level like Devin Haney, Regis Progress, Ryan Garcia, all these fighters, Rolly Romero, these clowns that don't even they're not real fighters. Like Ryan Garcia is just more of a social media, famous, good looking guy, but he has never won a belt. He never deserved to fight at Tank Davis because he was never a champion. He never fought anybody to get to that level. Like he's never been accomplished. I don't know why they say Ryan Garcia fighting Subriel Matias. That would be like De La Hoya fighting Tito Trinidad. Okay, first of all, De La Hoya was established and accomplished when he fought Tito Trinidad, and Tito Trinidad was established too. He already defended his belt like the IBF welterweight championship 15 times. So you cannot compare Ryan Garcia versus Subriel Matias because Subriel Matias is a champion and Ryan Garcia has never won a championship. So if Ryan Garcia was a champion or established himself as a champion and got like one defense, you could kind of compare Subriel Matias versus Ryan Garcia like a Felix Trinidad De La Hoya, but not really because when both those athletes fought each other, those champions fought each other, Oscar De La Hoya and Felix Trinidad, they were both at an elite status where they were accomplished already. They fought Trinidad, defended his belt 15 times, and De La Hoya was already, I think, a two-time champion. So you can't compare that. But I just feel like a lot of people are just undermining, Subriel Matias. Like, I know he has not. Punch Drunk has a point when it says they haven't marketed him right. They put him in places like Minnesota where there's not really Puerto Ricans there like that. If you want to promote, if you want to promote Subriel Matias to the Puerto Rican people, make him a household name, you got to have him fight in Puerto Rico, which he's doing with Liam Paro. It's a good fight. And Punch Drunk has a good point by saying that, that Subriel Matias, instead of walking out with a Mexican music like he did, nothing against Mexican, I got love for all Latinos, but he's Boricua. He should walk in the ring with Wisin Yandel and Daddy Yankee, Teo Calderon, whatever, because he's Boricua and then the reason why Subriel Matias walked in the ring with that Mexican song is, I think, because I saw in an interview that Subriel Matias refused. He had offers from reggaeton artists that are popular. I don't know which artist it was, but it was a popular artist that was going to walk in the ring with Subriel Matias. But Subriel Matias wanted to show loyalty to his trainer, Panda. I think his father was, he wanted to, show some loyalty to them because he's training over there. And I think the reason why he's training over there in Mexico is because he has a lot of distractions in Puerto Rico and the mountains, like training in those mountains, it actually really helps him. But I understand what Punch Drunk is saying when he says that how could Subriel Matias, be training with a Mexican in Mexico, and it's like that's the rivals of Puerto Ricans, of Boricuas, like it's like a Mexican fighter that fights Subriel Matias could really say something to Subriel like, oh, look at you're Puerto Rican and you train in Mexico with a Mexican trainer. But the whole thing behind Mexico and him training in Mexico, originally they were not feeling each other. Panda went to Puerto Rico, and Subriel Matias was like, no, I like Puerto Rico. I like my food over here. He didn't really want to go, but then his manager, Durango, felt it was best for him to train over there to keep him more focused and keep him, not distracted. And that's one of the reasons, Subriel Matias is training over there in Mexico. So I agree with Punch Drunk when he says that they should market him to the Puerto Rican audience. And the reason why he hasn't captured the imagination of most of the Puerto Ricans, like the way of Felix Tito Trinidad or Miguel Cotto, is because they haven't marketed him in New York, in the East Coast, or Philly, New York, Madison Square Garden, Barclays Center, Puerto Rico. But that's going to change because Eddie Hearns of Matchroom, he already signed Subriel Matias, and he believes that he's a pound for pound great, and he believes that he can beat the top dogs, the so-called top dogs that keep refusing or avoiding him because they feel like it's high risk, low reward. And they're going to make Subriel Matias a household name. He's going to defend against Liam Paro. And then after that, I think he's gonna have a fight in New York. I think it should be against Teofimo or Devin Haney or Rolly. I think it's gonna be Rolly because Rolly has a belt, and if he has two belts, he has some kind of leverage, and it can help him like in a negotiation. I think once he has a fight in Puerto Rico and he has a fight in New York, Madison Square Garden or Brooklyn, Barclays Center, he's gonna be enough of a household name where he can actually not be avoided and by the other so-called elite like Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez avoided him. He was acting like he was gonna fight him, and he really didn't want to fight Subriel Matias because at the end of the day, he is not a boss. He didn't send a contract to Subriel Matias because he is not the boss. The person that sends a contract or shows the contract is top ranked Bob Arum. He's Teofimo Lopez boss. So stop capping. Stop saying that. Stop spreading that narrative, Punch Drunk. Stop. Because if you say you keep it real, get all the facts. Don't just say that because you got your pom poms for Teofimo Lopez and you love him that much and you're being biased by overlooking the fact that Teofimo Lopez did not send that contract. And the only reason why Subriel Matias refused the contract is he spoke to top ranked Bob Arum and he wanted Teofimo Lopez, and Teofimo Lopez was not guaranteed by top ranked Bob Arum. He said, Subriel Matias said, can you guarantee me the fight with Teofimo Lopez? And top ranked Bob Arum said, no, we're not going to guarantee that fight. They don't want to lose Teofimo. And I get it. It's a boxing business, but that's not Subriel Matias' fault. That's Teofimo Lopez's fault. He's spreading the narrative that he's the boss, that he signed the contract. He's not a boss. He's not a boss. He lost to Cambosis. What makes you think he's going to beat Subriel Matias? Cambosis is way less has way less abilities than Subriel Matias. Cambosis is overhyped. He's been beaten twice by Devin Haney. Twice. Dominated. He's nothing special. But Subriel Matias is way more dangerous than Cambosis. He throws 100 punches per round. He has a high guard. He has a relentlessness that makes people just give up because he overwhelms you. And he has defense. It's underrated, his defense, but he does have defense. He does. He keeps a high guard. He a lot of the punches that when they throw punches on him, he's blocking with his hand, with his wrist, high guard, and then it looks like he's getting hit. And some of the punches like that, look like they're landing, but he's actually hitting himself with the glove. Yeah, so yeah, he's hitting himself with the glove. So the thing is, I'm not saying he's a Mayweather, but he has defense according to his style. And remember, you said you keep it real. You said you keep it real, but obviously you're not doing all your research on Punch Drunk. That's all I'm saying. I'm not disrespecting you. I feel like, you made some valid points about the way they're promoting Subriel, and he needs to be more loud about being Boricua and having the flag. He did that. He did that before he got famous. He had the flag, and when he fought Ponce in the press conference, he had the Puerto Rican flag. So yeah, but he needs to walk in the ring with a Puerto Rican song instead of a Mexican music. I get it. He's just loyal. He's just showing loyalty to his trainer and to his trainer's family. But he needs to stop doing that because then it's gonna take longer to catch the imagination of the Puerto Rican fans. But I think he's gonna catch the imagination a lot after Liam Paro and another fight in New York. I think he already has a fan base in Puerto Rico. People stop him now when he goes to the store. But yeah, stop hating on Subriel. Not hating, but stop undermining him. Stop being a fanboy with Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez lost to Sandor Martin and he lost to Jaime Ortiz. He did. Like that. He has not looked good. And then, okay, he's fought. The only people that he's beaten, Teofimo Lopez, is Josh Taylor, who was inactive for almost 2 years. So how could you say that was a credible victory? That it really wasn't, because he already lost to Catterall. Josh Taylor already lost to Catterall. So he's not nobody special that he beat. And then I feel that Kambosos beat Teofimo Lopez, and Teofimo Lopez, he's a great fighter. He beat Lomachenko. Okay, but that just two fighters. Before that, who did he fight? Before that, who did he fight? All right, that's all I got to say. I rest my case. Subriel Matias is going to beat everybody in the division. Don't sleep on him.